I'm going to look at VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, and XLOOKUP to answer some questions you guys have. Now let's consider a small data set that we have. We will start looking at VLOOKUP, which searches vertically down a column. First, let's create a drop-down list of invoices, and we know how to create that list using data validation. This makes it easier to select an ID instead of typing it. And this will connect automatically to the VLOOKUP formulas we are going to write. Next, suppose we want to find an amount for an invoice 4529, the one we have here. The formula is going to be VLOOKUP I3, where that invoice ID is, and then B1 to E11 from here, you select the table from here to here, and then comma 4. So 4 is going to be the fourth column from invoice ID 1, 2, 3, 4, which is the amount, and then first is exact. So this means looking in column B for invoice for 4529, and then return the value from the fourth column, which is the amount $101.08. We can use the same VLOOKUP function to get the customer name, right? The formula stays the same, but in this case, when it comes to the column location, we are going to choose 2. And here the Excel searches for column B for ID and returns the value from the second column, which is the customer name, and that is Cynthia. It is fast and dynamic, as you can see. Now, when it comes to finding the invoice date, the date column must be placed to the right of the invoice ID, right? Because remember, VLOOKUP only looks rightwards, so the column orders matter. This returns the date associated with the invoice ID. The only change we have here after you add or you move the date to the right of the invoice ID is 5, because that's the location where it's located. Okay. Now, if you change the invoice ID in the drop-down list, for example, from 4529 to 7445, instantly all the related fields, the amount, the customer date, the date, all that is going to update automatically. And this is the power of the VLOOKUP when you're working in a live report. Now, next, let's look at HLOOKUP. So this one works horizontally. We'll start by creating the drop-down list of a column names using the same method that we have always used, and it will give you this list of the column names. This will let us search across the top row instead of the down column. So an example of what I mean, suppose we want to find the customer name for a specific record in row number 8, right? We are going to use this formula, HLOOKUP I3. That's where the column name is. It's going to be this one, the customer name. And then you select the entire table. Then you are going to tell it the row number 8, and then false, that is for exact. It will look across the top row, which is the customer name, and then to return the value that is in row number 8, which is Joseph Diaz, right? And then similarly, if we want to find the service type, still with the row number 8, it will do the same thing. The formula searches for the top row and to find the service name, and then to return the value, which is maintenance, that is in row number 8. Sometimes you may want to change the row index to 5. Still now in this case, for the service name, it's going to return support. Now, sometimes you have questions, why might we want to use HLOOKUP? We use HLOOKUP when the data are stored wide or in a wide format, and that is across the columns, like you can see here. For instance, we get both customer name and amount for a given invoice ID. HLOOKUP can scan across the top, right, to find that invoice ID and then return these both records in these different rows. As you can see, it does. And if we change it, we change the invoice ID, instantly you see that the data is going to update automatically. Now, lastly, we are going to look at XLOOKUP. This is the modern and the more powerful function. And like we said, it replaces both VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. For example, if you have this invoice ID 7445 and you want to return the amount, the formula is going to be H3, XLOOKUP H3. You tell it the column which is hosting the invoice IDs, and then comma, you tell it the column which you want them to return. So in our case, it's the amount column, which is column E. That's why you have E1 to E11, and then false for exact. And then when we press enter, it's going to return $274.47, right? Okay, we can easily modify to get the customer name. So the same thing, the formula stays the same, except in this way case, we tell it to go and return the value in a customer name. That's why now we are changing this from E to column C. And when you click it, we are going to, again, expect to get Joe Diaz or Joseph Diaz. And then lastly, for the invoice date, still we do the same thing. The only thing that is changing is this, where the location of the results that you want to return. XLOOKUP can look both vertically and horizontally, and you can use, and you can even add like error messages like not found or missing IDs, something like that. But again, when you click enter on this, it will return January 14, 2025. So that's this kind of the power of XLOOKUP, which replaces the other V and HLOOKUP. And I recommend that you guys start using XLOOKUP. All right, thank you guys.